Look, the amount of AI news coming out every single week is just a fire hose. It's impossible to keep up. So our job here is to cut through all the noise, all the marketing hype, and find the real signal. Let's dig into what actually mattered this week.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it down. First, we're looking at the open source power play. And believe me, it is on fire right now. Then we'll get into a real-time image generator showdown that shows you just how brutal this market is. After that, we'll dissect the clash of the titans, the big model race. And finally, we'll see how all this AI is starting to step out of the computer and into the real world.
Okay, first up, the open source movement. Now, while the big guys are throwing billions of dollars at building these giant do-everything models, there's this quiet revolution happening underneath. We're seeing this wave of smaller, often free, and highly specialized models that are starting to do certain things, well, better.
So, let's talk about DeepSeek Math V2. And listen, this is not some glorified calculator for your kids' homework. No. This thing is built for one purpose, and one purpose only: to tackle the kind of math problems that make geniuses sweat.
Now, you've got to understand what this means. The International Math Olympiad, this isn't your standard board exam. We're talking about problems so complex, they stump some of the brightest human minds on Earth for days. So for an open source model, a free model, mind you, to walk in and snag a gold medal, that's massive. This is a clear signal that in some very specific, very difficult areas, open source is actually leading the pack.
So you have to ask, how did they pull this off? What's the secret sauce? Well, it's actually pretty brilliant. Instead of just training the AI on right or wrong answers, they created a two-part system. You have one AI that tries to solve the problem step by step, but then, and this is the key, you have a second AI that checks each and every step of the logic. It rewards correct reasoning, not just the right answer. That forces the model to learn how to think, and that is a huge step toward AI we can actually rely on. And look, this isn't a one-off. This trend is popping up everywhere. Let's switch gears from super complex math to something we all deal with: reading text inside images. There's a new model out called Hunyan OCR, and it's the perfect poster child for the idea that bigger isn't always better.
Okay, just look at this chart. It says it all. On the left, you've got Hunyan OCR, just a 1 billion parameter model, tiny by today's standards. Then on the right, you have the Goliaths, Gemini, GPT-4o, models that are many, many times larger. And yet, the little guy is winning. It's doing a better job. Now, from a business perspective, this is a strategic threat. These nimble, specialized tools are starting to chip away at the dominance of the big, expensive, do-everything models.
And this trend gets even more interesting when you move from models that just process information to agents that can actually do things. Which brings me to Microsoft's latest move. They just dropped an open-source agent called Farra 7B. And get this, it's a small AI that can literally see what's on your screen and take control of your mouse and keyboard.
So why should you care about this? Well, a few things. First, it's small, but here's the kicker. It runs locally, offline, right on your own machine. That means your screen data, your clicks, everything, it never goes to the cloud. In today's world, that's a massive win for privacy. You can see the strategy here, right? This is the kind of thing that's going to be built directly into our laptops. And by making it open source, Microsoft is playing a very smart game.
Okay, let's shift gears now to the absolute wild west of AI. Image generation. I mean, if you want to see how brutally fast this market moves, this is the place to watch. A model can be the new hotness one day and yesterday's news the next, literally. And we just saw a textbook case of this play out.
So, a new model called Flux 2 dropped, and of course, it came with a ton of hype. But come on, in a market this crowded, my first question is always the same. Do we really need another one? Is this actually a step up, or just more noise? Well, we got our answer faster than anyone thought possible. Here's the tale of two models. You got Flux 2, it's massive, you need a seriously beefy, expensive GPU to run it, and frankly, the images look kind of fake. Then, just one day later, Alibaba drops Zimage. This thing is tiny in comparison. It runs on a normal consumer GPU, and the quality, so much better, more realistic, and it actually handles text really well. It was a complete knockout. And that right there tells you everything you need to know about how ruthless this space is. My honest opinion, there is absolutely no reason for you to use Flux 2. It was dead on arrival, outclassed before anyone even had a chance to download it. It's a brutal lesson. In this market, you don't get a medal for showing up.
You either win or you become irrelevant overnight.
All right, let's move away from the scrappy open source world and talk about the titans. Anthropic just launched Claude Opus 4.5, and man, the marketing machine was in full swing. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to cut right through that hype and look at the cold, hard numbers. So here's the headline claim from Anthropic. They're calling it the best model in the world in terms of coding and agentic use. Okay, that's a pretty big claim. Let's put it to the test.
So when you actually look at the independent benchmarks, a more complicated picture emerges. Now, to be fair, on one particular coding benchmark, it does edge out Gemini 3 Pro by a couple of percentage points. Fine. But look at the overall picture. It's still number 2. And that's not even the full story, because there are some serious trade-offs you're making here. First, let's talk about money. Price. Claude Opus 4.5 is $10 per million tokens. Gemini 3 Pro is $5. It's literally double the price. Now, if you're a developer just messing around, maybe that doesn't matter. But if you're a business trying to build a product on this, that cost difference is enormous. You're paying twice as much for a model that, overall, isn't even the best.
But for me, here's the real catch, the deal breaker. It has a context window 5 times smaller than Gemini's. 5 times. Any developer watching this knows exactly what that means. If you're trying to work with a large, complex code base, a 200,000 token window just doesn't cut it. It's like trying to read a novel through a keyhole. So that claim about being the best for coding, it starts to fall apart pretty quickly.
Okay, for our final segment, let's get out of the world of pure software and into the physical world. Let's talk robotics, because this is where all this AI code actually starts to move things, to interact with our reality. And the progress here is, well, it's just incredible to watch. You've probably seen this robot, the Unitree G1. It's the one doing all the crazy acrobatics, the backflips, the kung fu poses, while the latest demo shows it playing basketball. And look, the amazing part isn't that it can sink a basket. The truly mind-blowing part is how smoothly it moves. Getting a robot to move with that kind of natural, human-like grace, that is one of the holy grails of robotics, and these guys are getting scarily good at it. But you know, it's not all about these super expensive athletic robots. There's a whole other side to this. Take a look at the Aloha Mini. And the only number you need to remember here is this one, $600. That's it. That's the total cost to 3D print and build this thing at home. So what is it? Well, the Aloha Mini is a totally open source 2-armed robot. You can print the parts, assemble it yourself, and then you can literally teach it to do chores. You just grab its arms and guide it through a motion, like folding a towel, and it learns by imitating you. This is completely changing the game, putting serious robotics into the hands of anyone. So after all that, what's the big takeaway? What's the signal in all this noise? For me, it's crystal clear. We're watching a two-front war in AI. On one front, you have the giants building these massive, incredibly expensive all-purpose models. But on the other front, you've got this scrappy, fast-moving army of specialized, open-source models that are chipping away at their dominance, piece by piece. Look, if this week has taught us anything, it's that in this market, there's no such thing as a safe lead. The leader of today is the legacy of tomorrow. All these so-called moats the big companies think they're building, they might just be puddles. I've seen this happen before in tech, and it's happening again. The only question is, who's next?